put out last night with a 1,000 Swiss franc fine for a profanity at the line, albeit by semaphore, as opposed to anything else. He did actually scream out as well as he crossed the line, I must admit, and that was audible to the judges, and indeed does, but we didn't translate it. He swore in the English, by the way, so there was no translation required. If you could lip sync. Go and fill your boots. But anyway, 48.1 kilometres remaining. Horrible conditions, 2 climbs to come. We're just about to take ourselves a commercial break, and we will be back for the first passage of the finish line, which actually is still quite some way away, about 16 kilometres in fact. Not a day you'd reach for the bike at all. And look at the standing water. This is going to become a danger, because wherever you have climbs, of course you have descents, and we've got one right now. So stay safe, everybody, for goodness sake.
What is this place?
The Modern Software Factory, a hub of digital transformation.
Is this where we come to compete?
This is what you build to compete, where insight drives experience, where automation delivers better apps faster, where agile isn't just a buzzword, it's a way of life.
What about security?
Strong, yet frictionless. All working together at scale. It's about moving to new from old.
Oh, that's not right. I'll put mine back on.
1, 2, 3,
For many years, TDK supports and inspires future generations through athletics.
Inspiring. I think we were brought here to inspire the young kids, but in turn, the young kids inspired us too.
Don't forget to watch the World Athletics Championships. They are here in London. I'll be there. Make sure you are.
TDK.
Introducing the Renault crossover range, featuring the all-new Koleos, Renault Kadjar and new Captur. Renault crossover range, now with 3 years 0% APR representative and 2 years free servicing.
No, I'm fine. It's just a scratch, that's all. There's nothing serious. Oh, no. There's no need to call a mechanic.
If your car is written off, you can choose between a replacement, paying for an upgrade, or the money.
Oh, yes.
Churchill, depend on the dog.
Lisa, you're on EE, so you're being upgraded to EE Class, where we will be cruising at an altitude of 6 free months of Apple Music. Just our way of showing you the love.
Whoa, you've got to give a little love. Can I get free Apple Music too?
Of course, Duncan. And when you stream or download all those banging tunes, the data's on us.
Shaken or stirred, sir?
Just give it a little mix. You've got the music and the data, but buckle up. There's a storm.
Z coming!
You're getting way too big for your...
3 months of Apple Music.
Well, just as we suspected, sketchy on the descent. Jesper Stuyven takes a tumble. A couple of teammates locked with him. The response out front has been to push on. The gap starting to tumble. And this is not a categorised climb, despite the fact it could well be in just about any other race. And in fact, the alarm bells have been going off for a number of teams. There, Sunweb trying to reassemble themselves. In fact, it's catch-up time as well for Tom Dumoulin and his team. They've pushed on, and the gap's really fallen to the breakaway. Just over 2 minutes now, with 45 kilometres to go. If this continues, they'll be caught on the climb. And I think the breakaway needs to sort its personnel out. Lots of gilets being cast to the side of the road. If you happen to be around here, you'd have some souvenirs. Lots of Soudal, BMC and Sunweb working in attendance. The likes The fact they've got a man up the road. If it is going to close down, then Sepp van Mark is going to be their chosen son. For the men in green, you can be sure. Lots to consider, Brian.
As you can just see, a lot of riders starting to be dispatched from the rear of the peloton, which means that the pace is starting to increase somewhat, the gap coming down, and I think team together with Debust from Lotto Soudal has come towards the front, and when you see riders be dispensed out the back of the peloton, it means that the pace is up. Also the riders at the front are starting to pull faces. They know that this group of 6 riders is a strong group, and they don't want to give it any rope whatsoever, so the pressure is on, but also the pressure is on to try and you know, hurt the rest of the riders and hurt the rest of the domestics. This looks very much like this could come on the San Roch. It could, you know, man against man, GC leader against GC leader. And we're set for a nice finale here.
When you look at the finish lines that we've had so far, yesterday it was all about the principals. All of those with the wearing the number 1 within their team. Bohm for Team Lotto Jumbo, Sagan, of course, for Bora Hansgrohe, Greg van Avermaet for BMC, Nason, the Belgian champion for AG Tour Le Mondial, Jesper Stuyven, the top 5 all racked there. Gilbert, of course, for Quick-Step Floors, but then Van Mark, principal for Cannondale, Wellens for Lotto Soudal. They were all there, and I think you're absolutely right, they will be again. The camera's struggling to adjust to the light here, which you can see as they come out from the little arboreal tunnels. Less than 2 minutes now, and Sunweb, they mean business, and I think this is Tom Dumoulin setting his stall out. He'll attack the Côte de Saint-Roch, you can be sure. And the way they're approaching at the moment, they've still got, what, 13 kilometres to go. They've found a minute in about that distance, so I expect they'll be within sight, potentially on some of the straighter roads, as if we're going to get many of those today, of our breakaway. But certainly Sunweb are committed, and maybe they should be, to somewhere quiet and padded. Right now, there may be some madness about this, but Tom Dumoulin believes in it, and so do his team, and they're going for it. You can see Tom Dom just embedded here in about P8. Doing a bit of meerkatting. Other teams still with very much an interest in killing off this breakaway, which is a strong one. It's been a warning signs going off all day, and how's about that for a bit of cross country? Managed to get back in, hopefully without hasn't ridden through anything smelly. He's back with us. Peter Sagan hovering as well, and I think Sagan, he's not going to be overly troubled by the Côte de Saint-Roch. It's a kilometre in, but he's got a lot of retrieval time after it's dealt with. In fact, it peaks out with still over 30 kilometres to go, and Sagan can get back in for that. Here's that little shoulder nudge. Everyone wants the best line through the corners, even on a narrow road, Brian, and occasionally you have a choice of going down or getting out. Yeah, that was just one of the BMC riders and just going off the road, but there's no point waiting. If you've got team members that when the race gets to the San Roch are going to get dropped, bring the gap down while you've still got some teammates left, because it is setting itself up that we are going to see some attacks, some GC attacks on the climb after the finishing line. So there's a waste of time actually just having your teammates sat there just to get dropped. That's why they've come to the front. They're going to be used. These are danger riders in here, and so they want to try and bring the gap down, and that's what they're doing. But this group is just kind of playing the waiting game. They know it's too early to really start pushing hard. They want to stay together as long as possible. There's some riders here thinking the stage. The others are thinking of the general classification, and they don't want to really go into the red now. This gap will come down because the riders will ride into the bottom of the San Roch, then peel off and let the GC leader and maybe one other go with them. San Roch really is quite an incline. When we get there, I mean, we've got plenty of other climbs along the way. We're counting over 30, by the way, on this approach, but nonetheless, when you get to the San Roque, just look at the way that the steps of the houses are cut into the incline if you want to figure out just how tough it is. But our breakaway there, every single one of them out of the saddle on a non-categorised climb, it tells you how tough this day has been.
Yeah, lumpy all day. And with these conditions, and for many people at home that have very kind of dead, so we've already seen she's Sheila to another Sheila, and we've not really seen the half of it in this stage so far. To combat these kind of conditions, you want to try and keep as comfortable as possible, and it's very difficult to keep comfortable in these conditions.
Yeah, and to be honest, you can get any time. Here they are, bouncing up this incline. Still, oh gosh, that was perhaps not a moment to take off some winter gear, even with help. This one's not being given away, as you can see, by Lotte Soudal. Clearly worth keeping. Minute and 27 then. It looks like it's all over, I'm afraid, for the breakaway. Having looked so solid, the demeanour of the chasers has been clear to see. Just looking at everyone stripping off now because they've put in so much effort. They've generated a lot of heat out there, and they've issued some of the wet weather gear. In fact, the rain's abated, as you can see. But still, with 41.7 to go, it's a long old way. 10 Ks until we cross our finish line and then start the final loop today, which will take on the San Roque, the aforementioned, and indeed the final climb of the day, which is slightly longer but less of an incline. Still a challenge, not least because of where it comes. And the golden kilo this time, Brian. If you're in a good position for the Bois de Moine, or the Moine, where once you've dealt with that, you may as well push on for the golden kilometre, and it may well be that we don't have a break at that point. With 22 Ks to go, it could be some of our principals looking for seconds.
Yeah, it could be very similar to yesterday when Tim Wellens took a second. Okay, he never managed to take anything more because Vakoch and Hepburn were still in the lead, and Gouchard had already attacked. But it could come into play today. But it does look as if these guys, you know, want to race into these last kind of 40 kilometres, bring down as much as possible before we hit the finishing line for the first time.
Tom Dumoulin has called for action, and he's getting it at the moment. Don't be surprised if he ends up alone, Dumoulin. I can almost see him TTing to the line. He's got backup at the moment, but he's burning his personnel. 3 of them on the nose. Slowly but surely he's using them, and that indicates self-belief. And, well, why wouldn't he? Grand Tour winner now, of course, we remind you. 40.9 kilometres to go. We'll take a break on the approach and be back for the climb that looms.
What is this place?
The Modern Software Factory, a hub of digital transformation.
Is this where we come to compete?
This is what you build to compete, where insight drives experience, where automation delivers better apps faster, where agile isn't just a buzzword.
What about security?
Strong, yet frictionless. All working together at scale. It's about moving to new from old.
Oh, that's not right. I'll put mine back on.
Black bees came to make it hotter. We beat the fire starter. Bubbling up just like lava, heated like a sauna. Penetrating through your body armor. Rhythmically we massage ya.
Scoring a deal matters. TalkTalk are bringing you Britain's lowest price Sky Sports bundle, just $28.45 a month in our big summer save. With award-winning TV, all the Sky Sports channels, and unlimited broadband, you can watch the Premier price tag. If sport isn't your thing, our Sky Cinema bundle is on offer too, to entertain the family with the best films from the silver screen. You're in control of your favourite telly. With live TV, you can pause and rewind. Our TV plans come with unlimited broadband and are a fixed price for your whole contract, whether you're a new or existing customer. Plus, our customers have voted us Uswitch TV Provider of the Year. Get all the Sky Sports channels, great TV and unlimited broadband including line rental at the fixed low price of $28.45 a month. Our big summer save ends 17th of August. Search TalkTalk TV or call 0800 049 1163. TalkTalk, for everyone.
Since I came to know you, baby, I've been telling you how sweet you are.
Things getting lively in the breakaway. Theo Geoghegan just pushing on. Tony Martin tempted to go with him, as you can see, and Gougiard it was that made it. And in fact, a wake-up call, I think, to everybody with it to do some solid work. Theo Geoghegan can't do it all on his own, but showing his frustration. Look at the snowplow scarred road surface here, where they literally scrape off the snow in the winter time. In fact, what happens then is that the scar marks, I'm afraid, absorb water, which then freezes, and it causes road fracturing. So it's not pleasant to ride on, because you get you've gone a bit too deep on occasion. There we are. They're calling out the vehicles, despite the fact it's only 1 minute and 16, and that shows really that Race Direction believe they're going to get caught, and so on a relatively straight section of road, you may as well call out those vehicles, Brian.
Yeah, the breakaway need to push on now because the gap is coming down, and unfortunately in the breakaway there's only 6 of them, and the peloton more, and they can use their teammates, and that's what doing. He's using his teammates. Just look as if he wants to try and do something on the Côte de Saint-Roch, which is coming up after we hit the finishing line. In fact, the finishing line at the Côte de Saint-Roch. So it's going to be an interesting one now that Sunweb are starting to dance on.
Who's your pick for today?
Yes, come back to me on that one.
No, you should know instinctively.
Okay, who's your pick?
Gilbert.
Okay, good pick.
You thought I was going to say nothing there, didn't you? Yes, I'd love to see Phil Gill do it. He's 29 seconds down. I think he'll push on after the second climb. Go for a long one. He was so sprightly in the springtime. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts to make a bid for it. Wout van Aert you're looking at right now, and one of those who've found himself on the back end of things on this day. You can't dominate all the time, and so you have to pick your moment, and right now picking his moment as has been Tom Dumoulin, who's decided to ask for a little bit of assistance. This is Jempi Drucker, who's got himself a puncture. He'll be dealing with that. Meanwhile, bad time to get it, because the pace is, as you can see, slightly frenetic. Despite the extra, it's now 1 minute and 23, so they found a bit of time. It got down to 1 minute and 12. So they're re-engaged, if you like, out front with the battle. And Lars Bohm just getting himself up towards the front, working it. It looks like we've had a stray vehicle there that's been set. Very well marshalled, incidentally, this event. Who's your pick today, then?
Yeah, I think turn the clocks back 2 years. Tim Wellens won it in 2015 in similar conditions. I think the team have ridden well today for him, and I think he'll have to try and deliver. I really do think that there's so many riders at a very similar level, and it's going to take one to, with maybe a little bit of experience, attacking the right. Yesterday, Van Mark probably attacked at the wrong time, because he had to really slow get into that sharp right-hand corner, and Lars Boom took advantage afterwards. So I think I'm going to go with Tim Wellens again today.
Why not? There's plenty of choice, and in fact both of us have ignored Peter Sagan for today. He's done so much work, and in fact he's in a bit of a moody at the moment. He's always giving out to those who are afraid of him and don't want to take him to the line, but it's almost a mark of respect, I think, that he needs to realise that riders are so afraid of him they don't quite know how to handle him. He's a dangerous... it's like picking up a sticky ball. You can't get rid of him, quite frankly.
The problem with Peter Sagan is he's that good.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
It's very difficult to ride with him, and you could see it yesterday. He was trying to cover everything. What Peter Sagan does need is he needs someone to help him in these situations, and I think that's why
he needs another
Daniel Ross is yeah, exactly. You replace yourself. It's the same with any team. It's the same with Chris Froome. You try and replace yourself with riders similar to you. Riders, the best Tour de France team is people that are capable of winning the Tour de France. And it's the same here. People that are capable of winning stages like this. So the situation now is Peter Sagan, I think, would be looking for, and I think that's where Daniel Ross, coming from BMC, is going to obviously help him in races like this, because when he was in his own, he was chasing riders down all the way in.
It's interesting, the cars are being called out of the gap, but they're stopping to service on the way through. They've called them out of the gap because the road's reasonably wide here, and of course they need to service them before we get to the climb. The finish line where they won't be able to do anything, and so the race direction has actually called them out, the vehicles that is, between the gap, despite the fact it's not under a minute. It's a little bit over than that, fatter than that, but the way it's been going, it can chop and change. Change doing a decent amount of work. Trek worked so hard yesterday. Indeed, they're as you can see, they're nodding, which suggests more pedal pushing than pulling at the moment. Slight imbalance, but nonetheless it may look ungainly, but reasonably effective. And here come Cannondale marking it out clearly. Dylan van Baarle is not their chosen son. He's a minute 23 down. He's in the break, but Sepp van Mark is still within range. 36 seconds off the pace, and indeed Van Baarle is there, being guided up into position rather well. Bora, of course, also doing some of the hard work. Their aquamarine helmets on display, and Peter is embedded within this group, ever a danger. Here we go then. So, live your dream, it says. Let's see who's going to have a dream, indeed who's going to have a nightmare. On this one, we go over the start-finish line, and then we almost immediately take on the Col de Saint Roch. They basically put the start-finish line at the foot of it, Brian, so you go through it and then, whoops, up you go.
Yeah, in previous occasions we've done a couple of laps of it. Most of the riders will know it, otherwise they've looked at the videos from 2015. This is the run into the finishing town. This is pretty much the the last flat area before we start heading up to the lumpy parts of this course. But we're starting to see a lot of the teams starting to bring the GC contender up to the front now.
Wow, they all want a piece of this. What a day, it's so busy. They've already completed over 170 kilometres on the card for to Houffalize. So here we go. Through the woodlands, watch out for you get deer and wild boar here. Even this far north you get wild boar. I'm always surprised at that. Here we are then, start finish line essentially as part of our loop. We do the Saint Roch, then we have a Primus checkpoint, and then we do the Bois de Moi, and then we come back into Houffalize. There it is, with the mobile home, or indeed static caravan site down there as well. You can rent them. They're rather lovely. Incredibly warm. I don't know what they do as well for the insulation, but there's nothing quite like listening to the rain beat down on the roof and just hear utter silence apart from that, basically because the kids are fast asleep, or maybe you can't hear them. It's just great. You know what, life's all right, especially if you're watching Eurosport, you're home cycling. That was a long promo. Here we go then, Brian. It's our start-finish. And as you can see, the crowds are not exactly packing the gunnels at the moment. And no surprise there. They're watching in the CAFs.
Yeah, they will do. And they'll jump out and watch the race go by. It's slightly uphill, so it kind of drags up to the finishing line. Uphill, so it kind of drags up to the finishing line, and then we hit the Col de Saint Roch. They still have about a minute's advantage, but a lot of the the riders anticipating some action this time up.
There you saw that nasty turn, and in fact a chicane straight off the back of it at the 300-metre mark. We passed by Dave's sausage shop, which I can tell you is well worth a visit. 200 metres then, and you can see the road still snakes. This is no easy task, and I can imagine Gilbert and Sagan duking it out with Greg van Avermaet there to spoil the fun as well. It's potentially going to be a classic finish, this one. 100 metres to go, and so this is what you will see next time by. It's amazing, isn't it, when we get to the static cameras that are not mounted on vehicles, suddenly the picture quality changes. As for the quality of the breakaway, it's at its highest. Tony Martin pushing on, and I think all of these guys wondering whether it was a hiding to nothing today.
No, there's still an opportunity. At least they had the climb in the front. You got to remember that we do have the Primus checkpoint, the second one coming up very soon as well. So this is going to sort the breakaway out, and it's also going to sort the peloton out, and I think we'll see some action here.
Great work pushing on, and Peter Weening. They'll take a right-hander. Then the next, so looking across and indeed up at the incline that they're dealing with, and this is where it really starts to bite. 11% is the average. There are certain sections here where it's a lot worse than that, and frankly it's your coping pace that you will be engaged with. Peter Sagan just rolls himself to the fore, still Sunweb roughing everybody up.
Yeah, it looks very much like that. Soren Kragh Andersen is making an effort here. He wants to try and split things up. Peter Sagan following, so is Greg van Avermaet, Sepp van Mark. A lot of riders coming to the fore now, and I think over the top, it doesn't exactly go downhill. It kind of rolls over the top, but people pulling faces, this is going to hurt.
Yeah, also pulling faces, maybe prefer a much longer and more steady incline than just a short, sharp kick up the pants. Tom Dumoulin looked like he was struggling modestly there as well, moderately I should say. And just look at this. Look at the way the crowd are standing at the side of the road, and you get an appreciation of just how difficult this is as an incline. But Greg van Avermaet was there, so of course was Peter Sagan, Van Mark likewise, and they're wrestling each other for the time being. It's a shame that the finish is not actually at the top of this next time by. It'll be at the base. Cool. Well, I'd like to see it, but Massaspod now going backwards. Plenty of other quality as well within this group, because Kuznetsov also just getting fried. Francis Lejeune diminished in personnel, as they always seem to be these days on anything more than a day race. Also going backwards. Yeah, it was Stefan Kung, former leader, finding himself in trouble, so he's not going to be getting back and into the leader's jersey. And still they go, this trio out front. Theo Geoghegan Hart doing a fantastic job with Peter Weening of Roompot, and indeed Rory Sutherland as well. They are the brave, and here come the brutes catching up with Tony Martin right now, as his efforts for the day come to a close. He may well go again tomorrow on the Flanders Styley stage to Gerardsbergen, which will to a close, of course, and it was supposed to be the tour of the Low Countries, including Luxembourg, Netherlands. It's now shared between Belgium and the Netherlands, and it's had various incarnations, but the BinckBank is the latest title of it, but it doesn't take away from what is a spectacular event. And here they go. Doesn't take away from what is a spectacular event. And here they go. Michael Valgren can't help him. Benoot, though, it is at the moment with his nose in the wind. And just look, Dumoulin has indeed rescued himself, as it were. No teammates left. Dumoulin will have to do it all on his own, but he's got to that point in the race where it's possible.
Yeah, Gilbert struggling as well now, and yeah, it's a big effort by Thijs Benoot. Thijs Benoot is really, you know, opening up the throttle at the front of this group and starting to really struggle. Gaps starting to appear everywhere.
Yep, and Tony Martin just ebbing his way back through the pack, as you saw. Peter Sagan stays there, still looks lively, and in fact the last three of the breakaway look over his shoulder. Peter Weening likewise, and I think they might just push on for the last few metres of breakaway glory. Here we are. This is the chase with the Dumoulin group, I think it's fair to call it now, and some remnants from the break. Gosh, it really sorted them out, Brian. This field has got gaps all over the place.
Exactly. Tom Dumoulin is in fact now The second grouping includes Lars Bohm, the race leader, so it's splitting up quite considerably over the top of this climb. It doesn't actually descend very quickly off here, so it's going to be interesting, and I think this race is going to blow up all over the place, and it's going to be man against man. Peter Sagan looks strong. He's in the front group. Theo Gegenhardt, Peter Winning have been brought back now, but it seems down to Lotto Soudal in the red, want to keep the pressure on, and that's Thies Benoot thinking of Tim Wellens.
29.6 kilometres to go. Another climb coming up, and we'll be with it in 5 kilometres time. There's a Primus checkpoint that they've just rolled through, by the way, of no great concern at all, because that jersey is virtually on the shoulders of Piet Alligaert, who did so much good work in the early Primus sprints. There's a couple more tomorrow, don't forget, on the grand finale. But yet again, we've got a high-quality breakaway on your screens right now, and I can't wait to see of which of these guys, because I believe the winner today will come from this group. Tom Dumoulin looks like he's struggling. Peter Sagan, well, it's hard to read him at a moment such as this. In fact, there are others regathering, as you can see, to be part of this.
What is this place?
The modern software factory, a hub of digital transformation.
Is this where we come to compete?
This is what you build to compete, where insight drives experience, where automation delivers better apps faster, where agile isn't just a buzzword, it's a way of life.
What about security?
Strong, yet frictionless. All working together at scale. It's about moving to new from old.
Oh, that's not right. I'll put mine back on.
Be one with the game. Players, passion, and victory. Be one with it. Hungo Tire, an official partner of the UEFA Europa League.
Gale warning issued 205.
Hey, Mike, avoid this low pressure. Last known coordinates 02345.
Rescue 1, ETA 4 minutes.
We began to worry about our finances, especially with living costs going up all the time. We had thought about releasing money from our home, so we visited the Age Partnership website. We were delighted to find out any money we released would be tax-free. And more importantly, we'd continue to own our own home.
We use the money to pay off our mortgage. And with no monthly repayments, we now have a rainy day fund to top up our retirement income.
Or even make those long-awaited home improvements.
If you are over 55 and own your own home, contact Age Partnership for a free brochure on 08080 555 888 or use our equity release calculator at agepartnership.co.uk.
Words are flowing out like endless rain into a paper cup. They slither while they pass, they slip away across the universe. Trying to take nothing's gonna change my world.
Every match on Sky Sports and BT Sport. This is football from Virgin Media.
Welcome everybody. Theo Gegenhardt can't help himself at the moment, and in fact everyone else is busy looking at each other. Greg van Avermaet's trying to stare down Peter Sagan. All he can see is the back of his head. They've managed to shake out, as you can see, these guys, which includes Sepp van Mark, and yet again he may well be getting the wrong end of the stick, I'm afraid. I won't name that stick for you again. Meanwhile, they're rolling with the punches, and with 26.6 kilometres of the day remaining, there's a lot of checking going on to see who's been shaken out and still on board here, Brian.
But the situation is who's going to do the rest. Soren Kragh Andersen there with Dumoulin, so to use up Soren Kragh Andersen, but Soren Kragh Andersen is only 54. What we've got is we seem to have a group about maybe 15, 16 riders in front, but with very few teammates, and they're all kind of looking at each other. Very similar to what we had yesterday.
Yeah, very much so. So somebody may well take advantage late on, especially on that little technical approach. We'll see. This is the descent finally, which starts to unwind. We will be at the foot of the Bois de Moine in a kilometre's time. So they're going to bounce down to it and then kick back up. Greg van Avermaet, Belgian champion again, head down. He's a very exciting rider, Ollie Nason, and on this race, whenever he does decide to go, it looks like he lights up the afterburners.
Yes, I'm just looking at Nason here. He's got Jan Bakelans as a teammate behind, but looking at the group, I think it's about 19 strong now. A few riders coming across. Soudal in the red have got Benoot, Wellens, and I believe Van den Dert as we come back into Houffelezer and out the other side now.
Yes, indeed. Not crossing the start-finish line, by the way. We've got the Primus checkpoint, which we've already dealt with. The Bink Gold coming up, and this could well be worth going for. Oh, now I know this corner, we've seen it in the past, and you almost end up in the Bakers there. Here's the dip, and suddenly you're kicking up and going for it again, Brian.
Yeah, you're out the other side of the town, and it was on this climb 2 years ago that Tim Wellens made his move and went on to take the white jersey and win the stage.
Right now, Ollie Nason is doing exactly the same. It's familiar, this double little switch across the bridge that has the houses upon it. Apparently they didn't pay tax for building on a bridge because it wasn't counted as land. Bizarre, but anyway, Ponte is exactly the same. Meanwhile, coming in, different country, coming in and kicking off, and it is Ollie Nason's grabbed control of this day, and potentially he's on for a very, very good finish. Useful for the Belgian champion, and look at this, he's got a heck of a gap. He's already got 20 seconds. That's how explosive it was.
Yeah, he needs 45 seconds if he wants to take the lead, but just look at the red jerseys, the front. Thies Benoot helping hand to Tim Wellens. They've also got Van den Dert in this group. I'll just try and run through who is in this group. Benoot and Wellens are there. Sagan, Valgren, Greg van Avermaet, Tom Dumoulin, Jan Bakelans, Lars Boom, Ollie Nason on the attack, Jens Kukeler, Jasper Stuyven, Quick-Step Floors, Kragh Andersen, Van den Dert, Theo Gegenhardt, Peter Weening and Rory Sutherland still hanging on.
Yeah, hanging on, certainly, and hanging out to dry, presumably, on a very, very wet day. Some real principled names, I'm afraid, and it looks like Sepp van Mark is not going to have his fun today. 24.2 Ks remaining, so we're nearly at the peak of this one. Now, it's only 8%. But it's a real wearing climb. It is the last one that they'll deal with. And then we've got the Golden Kilometre, which is 3 sprints all locked together. You can see the inclines, and you can see that this man, well, he was inclined to go for it. But right now, I'm afraid, he's running out of resources. And Ollie Nason, brave as he was, is about to be caught. And look at this, Greg van Avermaet and Peter Sagan with Tom Dumoulin and everybody else, I'm afraid, racked in trouble, including Lars Bohm, who's been left down the mountain. Here we go then, time to dig in for glory. We said it may well become a huge name shootout, and that's what it's proving to be. Peter Sagan sails by the Belgian champion, and it's a question of putting fires out for everybody else. Greg van Avermaet just behind the Belgian champion now, looks like he's struggling. He's rocking all over the place. Now, Wellens is okay, but Dumoulin likewise does not look in a great place with 24 kilometres to go. So, Peter Sagan and the Golden Key will be very, very useful to him. 1,800 metres time.
Yeah, the thing is, I think Peter Sagan learned yesterday, nobody here to he's helped himself by going on the attack, and yesterday everybody was just looking at him, so putting that effort, and he has taken away Tim Wellens with him. Just behind he's got Nason, Greg van Avermaet, Tom Dumoulin, with Stuyven's just trying to hang on.
Wellens and Sagan then sharing the duty at the moment. Now this serves Sagan very, very well indeed. They've shed out Lars Bohm, don't forget. 2 seconds was the gap between Sagan and everybody else. What's the problem? And it looks Looks like it may well be a problem, I'm afraid.
Yep.
He's on the blower saying, where's the car? How far back are you? Slow puncture?
Yeah, looks like that. Looks as if he's got a mechanical. It would be automatically, I think, have a slow puncture. And because the race is split up all over the place, very difficult to get the team car up. And I'm afraid Sagan may have to use a neutral.
Yeah, that's it may well be.
But the thing is, he's not putting his hand up, so the race referees will not know that he's got any problem. He's waiting for his car, and there's two cars here, but it's going to be very difficult to get the car up.
Yeah, well, the car's off the climb. They're not allowed up this thin incline, so they'll wait the other side and presumably get a whole new bike. That's the easiest thing to change if they have it ready for him. 23 kilometres.
There he is. He's just almost caught out in that corner there. Sorry, Carlton, but grief in that corner, so it does look as if he's got a puncture. Waiting for his car as we pan out now. Very difficult to think that Peter Sagan will be back in this front end of this race now.
Yeah, it's afraid so, and it's played into the hands of Wellens, who's away at 22.6 k's from home. He's 500 metres from the Golden Kilo, and it looks like he's going to head through all of it himself. He could get greedy here. 3, 2 and 1 bonus seconds, 3 times of asking. They have 3 sprints which all count for time, and they're all racked together. It could have been that Peter Sagan, if it wasn't for that pesky puncture, would have sailed through here on the first one, and indeed taken the lead of the race. Crossing the line first or second would have been enough for him on positional play. Having taken 2 stage wins, he'd have taken over the lead from Lars Bohm. So here we are, it's the Golden Kilo, and Tom Dumoulin's getting interested as well. Suddenly he's picked up the cudgel and will start beating up those around him. 22 k's out is where we are right now, and 100 metres only from the start of the Golden Kilometre, and Wellens is going to get some time here. Everyone else wants it. Greg Van Avermaet sees a big opportunity to find a gap on the road, and maybe a little bit more than that. He's staying on the wheel of Tom Dumoulin as we speak. So there you go. Wellens, Dumoulin and Greg Van Avermaet cross the line right now, so that's 3, 2 and 1 bonus seconds, and there's exactly the same sort of time offering ahead of them shortly. So 3 of these intermediate sprints locked together within this kilometre. That's the first of them. Wellens takes the first one.
Yeah, Tom Dumoulin really showing a lot of power here. He distances Greg Van Avermaet. Stuyven tries to come through and close the gap, but this is a big effort now by Tom Dumoulin to go across to Tim Wellens.
Well, he may not have won it on the velodrome, his own, named after him, not a velodrome, a bike park I should say, yesterday, but Tom Dumoulin looks like in a fantastic place at the moment, and there is Peter Sagan. I'm afraid lonely figure waiting still for service, and it's a front puncture, which is why he's had such trouble getting round the corner. I think he'll do a swift change as soon as he possibly can, but what a shame for Sagan. There goes Ollie Nason of AG2 Ola Mondial. There's your front change for Sagan. What a shame. And as you can see, frustration just bubbling up. He's got to put the fire out. Theo Gegenhardt just coming up alongside him, but he's going to have lost any chance of taking the day. I know there's 21.4 kilometres remaining, and actually as soon as the words come out of my mouth, I'm thinking, well, actually, this is Peter Sagan. He might well make it back. We'll see. The trouble is there's a lot of hyper-motivated riders in front of him as we stand, and they are living the dream. Another Golden Kilo just gets dealt with, and it's Wellens with Dumoulin out front, and everybody else, including the Belgian champion, just coming through right now. Gosh, what a day, Brian, and drama. You never know quite when the bad luck's going to bite you.
Well, it's really unfortunate for Peter Sagan, and I feel sorry for him. But we talked about the luck yesterday of Lars Bohm. Unlucky today for Peter Sagan, and you know, dare I say, that's the important factor. If it happened to Wellens, he's got a teammate behind to help him teaspoon it. It's all important to have teammates as close to you as possible. And unfortunately, Peter Sagan never had his team car, nor any teammates near him. And I think very difficult for this race now.
Yeah, it's a real shame. He could have corrupted the bike of one of his teammates, of course, and here he is. This is within the Van Mark group, I believe. Still a principal group, but guess what? They're all leading on Peter Sagan.
As you would. You can see Van den Dert just getting swept up there, but Peter Sagan will want to try and limit his losses, but I don't think he's going to get much help.
No. Peter Sagan flicks the arm out and says, come on, I've had some bad luck, I'm not going to do this all on my own. He's actually proven on occasion that he'd rather just jump into the abyss than try and stare somebody else out into it. If you're not going to help, then, you know, I'm not going to win myself. His constant complaint is that people would rather not get second place on a day behind him, would rather either go all in or get rid of him. And I guess that's the eternal burden of somebody who's so talented. Chase Van Avermaet, Stuyven, Valgren and Nason looking out right now. "17 seconds only, it's a modest margin." Well, here we are. This is the third group, however, minute and 17 down. It's not a happy place to be. The Sagan group, there he is. Well, from a man who goes from a leading position to also ran, but there's still just under 20 Ks remaining. It depends how motivated these guys are, and they're all looking at each other like, stop following me, you do a job. Van Mark looks lively.
Well, I think here, with the fact that Tom Dumoulin and Tim Wellens are in the front, and then we've got a group of Benoit, Stuyven, Greg Van Avermaet, Nason and Valgren, which means that Quick-Step are out of this, so it's in... Quick-Step's interest in Gilbert. I know Vakoc is somewhere roundabout, but it's in Gilbert's interest to ride with Sagan. Also, Van Mark needs to ride with Sagan. So there's a lot of riders that need to ride with Sagan and try and limit the losses here.
Yeah, there is, but they're not prepared to take on that duty, I'm afraid. So, will these guys start to regather themselves? At the moment, it's Ollie Nason again. Does a lot of work for others around him, it seems, as Valgren just comes through. There's gels being dispensed all over the place. Trek also here with Jesper Stuyven, who just comes and takes the nose right now. Tom Dumoulin, I think, is out of those that are on the road at the moment. I think he probably believes he can beat Wellens in the run for home, but Wellens probably the better of the sprints. And has Peter Sagan got another problem, or is this a replay from earlier?
Replay.
There we are. Well, exactly that. Doesn't like that one. I'll have another. Well, that was telegraphed from a long way back, I'm afraid. And here is Sagan right now. And haranguing, I'm afraid. Not quite sure what the complaint is, but he's not a happy boy.
I'm just trying to see, that was the race commissaire there. He was having a go at them because there was no neutral service close, and because of that, Peter Sagan, his race is you know, thrown out the window now. So he's just having a go at the race commissaire. I know it's very difficult, but you have to look after the front of the race as a commissaire and you know, race director. You have to look at the front of the race first and foremost. You see the Shimano car just coming out now. That's taken an eternity for that to happen. They should be able to read the race and put the cars in at the right places where it's going to be most effective, and they got it severely wrong there.
There we are. So Peter Sagan issuing, venting. Yes, where was neutral when it could have helped him? But there you go. When it's breaking up like that as well, Brian, and especially when you've got these sinuous roads, and there's a lot of vehicles that are actually called out for safety reasons, incidentally. Unfortunately, I think they just got it wrong. There we are. 17.6 Ks from home. Brian's equally as angry. Wellens and Dumoulin out front, but only by a margin of 10 seconds. And the Sagan group is a minute down. They've actually found some time here in good order. I'm not sure whether he can use his anger effectively. They'll be calling out this neutral car before you know it as well, if the Sagan group closes down any more. They're on the horns here, just trying to get some road space to clear it, and they dutifully move over. It's for their own good to let these vehicles pass. Meanwhile, back with the Sagan group, now he's vented. I think he's done for the day, to be honest. Lars Bohm is here as well, takes himself a stretch. Imagines just throwing a journalist into the side of the road. And they embed themselves again. 56 seconds. They haven't given up the ghost.
No, it's very difficult. The two strongest riders in the race today are Wellens and Tom Dumoulin. Unfortunately, Greg Van Avermaet will be kicking himself, but he just didn't have the legs to go with them over the top of that last climb. But here you can see Peter Sagan. He flicked his elbow. Ladagnu doesn't want to do anything. He should do. All these riders, if you haven't got a teammate No matter what, I'm just sorry that Sagan is not maybe, okay, he might not have been here, but definitely in the group behind, which would have added a little bit more interest. But with the tactics used in Andre Greipel today to good effect, they're now in a very good position, because even if these 5 riders of Bennett, Stuyven, Greg Van Avermaet, Nason and Valgren come back to the 2 in front of Dumoulin and Wellens, which I think it will be very difficult to do. Thijs Benoot is just sitting there nicely on the back, recovering, and could steal the stage win. But I do think that Tom Dumoulin and Wellens are the strongest. They've shown that they'll stay away towards the finish. It really depends in Group 3 now. If Sagan gets a little help, does a bit of riding, then he could still be in the bike race. You've got to remember, he started the day in only 2 seconds down. A lot of other riders round about him were, you know, down on him. So if he cuts this back to maybe about 30 seconds, then tomorrow's another day.
It is. Maybe it's in his mind. He does have a propensity just to chuck out the toys, though, I'm afraid. Sepp van Mark is a disappointment today. He's within the Sagan group, and he's not doing as much work as he is capable of doing, I'm afraid. And as Brian was saying, I don't know why they're not working more with Peter Sagan. I know it's a danger. Sort of shake hands, count your fingers, as you were. 52 seconds they are behind, though, but they're only 41 adrift of that second group, who are 12. That's what their account is in deficit. Even closer than that, to be honest. It may well come together. We say 1 minute per 10 Ks, and right now there's 15 kilometres left. It's whether, to my mind anyway, whether Peter Sagan's got the... looks like he has, to pick this back up and have a dig. Well, good on him for going for it.
Yeah, definitely. Another group now. This is the group of Vakoc, Bakelans, Sutherland is there. So I don't think Bakelans and Craig Anderson will want to be doing anything, but Sutherland will want to try and go to the front. So he's coming through the groups. It just goes to show you how strong he is.
Wow.
He's coming up to this group, and it really depends if there's enough firepower in this group that are willing to help Sagan, or they're just going to sit on him.
Well, he wipes his nose and sort of says, well, I'm here. Are you going to do anything? Normally, if you manage to get back in, it's accepted that you'll sit at the back, but immediately everyone slows, expecting him to come through and take over the duty.
That's the problem he's got, but he just has to keep that in mind and use the groups and use the riders round about him. These riders are going flat out at the moment to try and stay away. You've got this group just about 7 seconds behind, so still in the balance, but it's turning out to be a nice battle in towards Heuvelers.
This is fantastic, and if Peter Sagan rescues the situation today, even if he doesn't actually manage to win the day, and he puts a thumb inside his lenses just to try and clear them a little bit, it'll be steam, by the way, because the rain has abated and everyone's starting to take a toot at the moment. They have put a lot into about, well, all of today, but the last 20 minutes or so have been absolutely frantic with these 2 climbs. It's what makes this race so great. Today is the homage to the Liège-Bastogne-Liège, we remind you. Well, this is the Van Avermaet group, as you can see. It wasn't strong enough to go out front, and he may well be caught by Peter Sagan in a short while. In fact, Group 3 is starting to go, because Peter Sagan doesn't want to be the engine room of that as well, and it's going to be nudging towards the minute. May well be he picks it back up and leaves them all in his wake on this descent. We're coming back through Opkomst, Omloop parcours, the local loop, as it were, and then a ride of King Albert. Can't wait for that. Well, 13.7 kilometres, and that gap says 17 seconds. It doesn't look that much to me. May well but just be the foreshortening of the camera. And as you can see as well, a little bit of ambition being displayed right now, and why not? Greg Van Avermaet just picks it up. Jesper Stuyven rides onto his back wheel from Trek Zagafreda, wearing number yellow and black, sorry, red and black, but so much red and black out there, it's almost indefinable. Next year they've got to sort that out. Wasn't somebody, I don't know, racing turquoise? It's happened before. I know you're saying, what about Astana? All right.
What about us, Dunno?
Yeah, no more, thanks. Tree Frog Green, somebody do that. Oh yeah, Cannondale. Anyway, here is Wellens and Tom Dumoulin pacing it, and Sagan looks like he's about to go again. Now, is he frying everyone around him? That's his intent, I guess, but quite frankly, he wishes he didn't have that task every single minute, it seems, and pedal stroke of every single day. Well, they're going quicker than he is out front.
Yes, I think he's not going to get much help now. Lars Boom coming across to the group again. He left this group in that inning back, and I don't think many will be tempted to try and help. The race now in front is increased to about 18 seconds now. Wellens and Dumoulin combining well together, and so they should. They've put themselves right in with the opportunity of winning this race again, and winning this race for Tom Dumoulin, because he's been here before. He knows this course. They've actually come down this descent anyway, so when they're off this descent, there'll be a run in towards the finish, which is fairly flat, and then the kick up towards the finish. But yeah, it's an interesting one. Nathan, Greg Van Avermaet, Valgren and Stuyven just have to really commit themselves now. They don't want to get caught from behind, and they want to try and keep as close to Dumoulin and Wellens as much as possible, and just forget about Thijs Benoot at the back, because Wellens is in front, and the rider at the back in the red is entitled to just sit at the back now.
There's Lars Boom, race leader at the top of the day, and riding it alongside, as you can see, Peter Sagan at the moment, who's flicking out elbows in a dodgy dad dance. I'm afraid Peter Sagan has basically just said forget it. With 12 Ks to go, he can't win the race, or indeed help out those guys all on his own. Thankfully they get this corner right, and Tom Dumoulin goes for it now. He's got to get up this rise. It's not a categorised climb, we remind you, but nonetheless it's a bit of a test. Into the gloom they go, and the camera will struggle for a few moments before it will. Tim Wellens picks up. So which of this pair would your money be on?
One between both of them. I think Wellens has been here before when he won it, and I think purely on what I'm seeing, as hard as they can into that finish, and it's going to be 50-50. Both of them look as strong as each other, but I think I have to go with my
some quality riders, of course, chasing them at the moment, as you can see. These will be a feature tomorrow. Chase Benoot, not least, actually, at the back of this group. And in fact, they're starting to struggle themselves as they rock and roll up this non-categorised climb. Why it doesn't have a class is anybody's guess. It is a lumpy old terrain that we're dealing with. Minute 9 now, the Peter Sagan group. It looks like they've accepted their fate. And they're all locked so close together here, but still struggling. And Greg Van Avermaet just rocking and rolling all over his bike. It's not pretty, but at least he's managed to deal with another one of these pesky hills that you have to cope with on this day, as well as the descents. And Peter Sagan now at the front, and almost displaying his displeasure to everyone by just setting the tempo, but it's not at its most difficult. Sepp van Mark suddenly wakes up to the fact. There he is, showing his the right-hand side of the road, so left-hand as you look at it right now, but it's all too late for these guys, I think, anyway. They'll need some significant gaps tomorrow if they're going to stay within the title race. A title that could well have gone with a little bit better fortune to Peter Sagan, almost all. Slow puncture, lack of neutral service, no teammates around him, no team car around him. And it was a very costly puncture indeed. Possibly cost him the title. Tim Wellens, possibly, if they come in for an out-and-out sprint between the pair of them, I think the money has to be on him. Tom Dumoulin, will he try and lose his man? He hasn't really got the terrain to do it, I'm afraid. Hard to shake off somebody like Wellens, who's twice won this event, both 2014 and 2015. He's wise to the ways of it.
Yeah, I think there's a mutual respect here and a common goal. Wellens still has to find some time if he wants to win this race tomorrow, because Tom Dumoulin is riding himself. The green race leader's jersey. He started today 8 seconds down, while Wellens was 19 seconds down. So 11 seconds between them, 10-6 on the line. So I would think that if Wellens does take the stage, then he's only going to take 4 seconds back, and there'll be a 7 seconds of a difference. And I think Tom Dumoulin will accept that into tomorrow's stage. The both of them want to put time into these riders here. Sagan wants to keep as close to these riders as possible, because when you consider Greg Van Avermaet starting seconds down, that's 25 seconds behind Sagan. So Sagan is still pushing hard. He wants to try and stay as close to the general classification as possible, because he may have better luck tomorrow and try and still win this race.
Stuyven of Trek Sagafredo, Greg Van Avermaet of BMC. We've got some real quality up front, including the Belgian champion, of course. Chase Benoot at the back lost a whole load of time, I'm afraid, after a nasty tumble yesterday. In fact, he's 11 minutes down, so of this group, he's the least threat. Might be a good bet tomorrow, by the way, for the Flandrian stage. There'll be others as well who want to get a last bit of glory out of the race. Peter Sagan still looks like he's putting plenty in, but when you look at his face, he's not suffering, and he's not suffering for his craft. He's fed up.
The thing is, Van Mark should be riding.
He should.
Both quick-step riders should be riding. Should stop smiling and start riding as well. They have to commit themselves. They have to work with Peter Sagan and keep the gap. You never know. You recover overnight, feel good tomorrow, and then you're thinking, oh, maybe I should have. Yeah. Maybe it's too... You could lose the race by 20 seconds or 30 seconds tomorrow and, lose it today. It's... I don't understand sometimes what goes through the head. I know everybody's tired and it's a long stage and we're in the 6th day, but limiting losses today means if the sun shines tomorrow, you never know.
I'm most disappointed with Van Mark. I mentioned it earlier on that he's not... his work rate today has not been at its best. You never know, he might not be feeling well. But people... and he himself constantly bemoan his bad fortune, but when you've got a chance to make your own luck like today, he's not taking it.
Yeah, he's been relying on his teammates helping him out today, and Dylan Van Baarle got himself in the breakaway and done his job. Van Mark really has to ride with Sagan. Sagan's punctured. Van Mark hasn't. Nothing's happened to him. Same can be said with Gilbert and Vakoc. Yeah. Sagan's punctured. Van Mark hasn't. Nothing's happened to him. Same can be said with Gilbert and Vakoc. Yeah. Keep riding. Tomorrow's another day. Try and limit the losses, especially to that group 2 sitting at 23 seconds. These two look as if they're the strongest in the race. Yeah. So be it. But they're still, the 3rd place. They're still, top 10, and they have to try and fight for it. So Lars Boom, Van Mark, both riders from Quick Step with Sagan. That's 5 riders. They can possibly get a lot nearer to that group 2.
Yeah, need to get on with it, and they're not doing it, I'm afraid. These guys are, and all credit to them. Wellens and Tom Dumoulin out front at the moment. 7 kilometres to go. This has got a margin of 25 seconds now, just extending ever so slightly. In fact, the clock bouncing as we see. Minute 28, back to the Van Mark Sagan et al. Group that we've been chastening, or indeed berating, let's put it that way, with some justification. They've got a great opportunity, I'm afraid, which has crumbled within their hands. And these guys, well, I think Greg Van Avermaet deserves a little bit of credit. He's clearly been suffering today. I think he's really... I think he's worked very, very hard to stay within this group, and all credit to him for actually just getting on with the task. Valgren likewise. Ollie Nason has been extraordinarily lively. In fact, all of these guys here have actually worked hard to be in this position, and you can't say that for the group behind, except for Peter Sagan, who is nobody's fool. And here he is sitting at the back saying, well, if you want to destroy it by just not doing your fair share, I'm just going to sit at the back. To hell with it. He has a way with him, like an artist, prior to it, of his brushes. Peter Sagan, there you go. He's not happy at all. I think that thumbs up was rather sarcastic.
Yeah, you can understand that. Yeah. But even in this group now, when you look at it, Lars Boom, Peter Sagan, Yasser Schutterlin, Philip Gilbert, Peter Vakoc, Jens Kukelaer, Sepp Van Mark, all need to commit themselves to riding at the front. Nobody did. Sagan's kind of losing a little bit, and really not happy, and so he shouldn't be. He shouldn't be happy. A lot of races this wrong. They even add, you know, extra bikes to be able to do that, and it's just a matter of, you know, there's 3 cars, but cars in the right place at the right time. You put them at the point end when the race is breaking up. You need the 2 cars in front of the race. There's 2 neutral service cars, and they were nowhere to be seen.
In particular on some of the technical areas where you don't allow the cars up, they have to take an alternative route because the roads are just too narrow. It's a danger to the riders. That's where you need to have neutral service, even if it's neutral service of somebody standing at the side of the road, having got there on a motorcycle with the spare wheels. But nonetheless, the horns are working hard here as they warn everybody that they're coming through. It's a bit frantic today, I'm afraid, in this sketchy weather.
But you know what? They're desperate to get up because is over as well. That's why it's important as a sports director, when you're in that car, you're waiting to move up. You want to move up as quickly as possible, and the commissaires are saying no, no, no. We've just seen a situation with Sagan that the cars couldn't go into the gap because the race was all broken up, and rightly so. But you've got 2 neutral service cars in front of the race, and they should have utilised them, and 1 car should have been with the race leader, and that was Lars Boom. And Lars Boom was in the group behind with Sagan, is still not, you know, there's no car there at all.
Well, we'll park that for now and just pay credit to these guys because they timed it absolutely perfectly. I know they haven't suffered in terms of mechanicals, but they've made their own fortune today, and quite rightly so. Brave push by both of these riders, and there you are. That's the 4 kilometres to go marker, despite the fact it's despite the fact it says 4.1 on your screens right now. And the pair of them, either one of them, deserve victory today. It's been a brave ride.
Yeah, it was Wellens attacked on the same climb and to win in a solo breakaway, but he's got Tom Dumoulin. Both of them are match strong enough. The outcome of the stage still undecided. Wellens, Dumoulin, it's really who's got the strongest legs in the end. It does go slightly uphill. You still have this group at 23 seconds behind, so they can't hang about. So they're combining well together because they don't want any of these riders to be near them. They'll fight out the finish, and again, it's going to come down to who's got the legs in the end.
These are the chasers then. Just to remind you, Tom Dumoulin is only 8 seconds down overall, so even if he only gets the 6 seconds bonus, the gaps as they stand at the moment, he's our virtual leader. 6 seconds bonus for finishing second. If he does so behind Wellens, he may well win it. In fact, we'll find out. Looks like this day is now set in stone. It's hard to catch 2 motivated riders, especially of this quality. One of them is going to win it today.
Yep, they definitely are. 3 kilometres to go, but we still have a push from behind from the other riders of Stuyven, Greg van Avermaet, Ollie Naesen and Michael Valgren. Benoot is the passenger in that group, and if these 2 stay away, Benoot will want to try and take the bonuses away from anybody else. But strong performance yet again by Tim Wellens in the front, and equally strong to come across to him is Tom Dumoulin at the back. Just a pity Greg van Avermaet couldn't hold the wheel at the crucial time of Tom Dumoulin. Eventually lost the wheel and is now having to chase all the way into the finish now.
These are indeed our chasers. Good to see that Greg I still think that Greg looks not at his best today, which means that the efforts he's put in are all the more impressive. We'll find out when he gets to the end. But as far as these boys are concerned, absolutely fantastic. The way that Tom Dumoulin used his team as well, he burnt them at exactly the right moment. Almost beacons along the way, lighting up the path, and he's now out front and being able to take the lead of this race. It's just a question of margin, depending on whether he wins it or not, or whether Wellens indeed takes that from him. I don't think he'll begrudge him too much. They will duke it out. It's going to be a sprint for the line, and I think possibly your money would have to be on Wellens, but it would need... Tom Dumoulin's just hanging back here. He doesn't want to take a turn. He's skipping one, so the alliance is starting to break down a bit.
I think both of them are strong enough, and they're equally matched. and you know, they want to keep away from these riders anyway, so there'll be no finessing whatsoever. And I think they're intelligent enough to talk to each other to say, look, we go to the line and we sprint it out, fastest man wins, and two of them look equally as strong today. And you know, we're going to go into tomorrow with the overall yet not confirmed, which is a good thing. But I think both teams have ridden particularly really well today. Lotto Soudal maybe for longer periods today. Sunweb came up very late in the run-in towards the... And that just gives confidence to your GCE rider, and now they'll be happy to come into town and battle it out for the win.
1,300 metres, in fact, the Flamme Rouge within sight of the duo up front. Reasonably technical entry into town. The last 300 metres is actually quite nasty, but anyway, with two of them, they've got plenty of road space. Don't worry too much about them. They may well cat and mouse. In fact, it's already started with Tom Dumoulin refusing to come through and take his turn ahead of Wellens, who's now very aware that he's on his back wheel at the moment. Just takes a slightly wider line momentarily there. Boxing it out, these guys as well. There's bonus seconds up for grabs. They could well be useful. Greg Van Avermaet's 27 seconds down. There'll be a 4 seconds bonus for whoever crosses the line first out of that group. Tom Dumoulin puts it up and indeed adds an injection of power. It's in both their interest not to throw this away by going cat and mousey too early, and Wellens comes in the inside, forces Tom Dumoulin through to the cobbled central raised section, which looks possibly more dangerous than it actually is. But they get through rather tidily, and we've got this little chicane to deal with right now. The helicopter here, and they're keeping their bikes as upright as they possibly can. I think this is by arrangement. We lose sight of them momentarily, so they go through almost together side by side, and then Wellens picks it up for the incline, and it is a drag up to the line. Tom Dumoulin stays in position for the time being. Is he going to come round his man? Here we are. I think he's possibly thinking about it. They're bidding the hoardings. Tom Dumoulin starts to show his face, has a think about it, thinks better of it, and then is he going to go for it? Tries to get it on the back wheel of Wellens, who holds the line for the time being and indeed takes the day. Taking the lead overall, though, is Tom Dumoulin, who seems to cuss below, out of sight of everybody. Van Avermaet trying to dig deep here, but it looks like Stuyven's going to come round him, I'm afraid, to take it, is he? They hold each other at bay just for the time being. Van Avermaet still fighting back. Stuyven takes it just ahead of Van Avermaet. Great work, and Thijs Benoot it was that just came in with Valgren crossing the line right now. Well, there it is, your day's winner. They worked hard for him. Andre Greipel was in sacrificial mode out there. He did a super job, along with a whole raft of riders from Lotto Soudal, likewise Sunweb. Two teams that combined beautifully to deliver their principles, and both teams got something out of it. One, a stage win, and indeed will be battling for the title tomorrow, and the other, the leader's jersey, which will be on the back, of course, of Tom Dumoulin for tomorrow as we head for Gerardsbergen and the Flandrian-style stage in Belgium. Good day today.
Yeah, good day out for Tim Wellens and Tom Dumoulin. Handshakes all round. Good hard day's racing, and in 2015 he came here. Unfortunately, he doesn't take the leader's jersey, but there's tomorrow there's going to be a battle, and only a matter of seconds between them. When we look at the overall, there'll be 7 seconds between Wellens and Tom Dumoulin in the fight for the general classification.
Well, Sepp van Mark picks it up and tries to bury himself on this run in, but I'm afraid it's a position that they're playing for right now. And Peter Sagan crosses the line now, and this is where his cussing and grumbling will begin. I hope you're not standing anywhere near when he dismounts, because it may well be that he starts throwing things. We shall see. Well, there's some riders out there who need to ask some questions of themselves. No questions to be asked of Sagan, but he'll be asking plenty about support, neutral service and the like, which seems to have put paid to his title hopes here today. We'll see what happens tomorrow on the run to Gerardsbergen. There's still some narrow gaps out there, Brian. We've still got a race.
Yeah, 7 seconds between Dumoulin and Wellens, and should only be a matter of about 30-40 seconds to the rest.
There we are, 17 seconds on the day to Stuyven, Van Avermaet and Chase Benoot. Clock resetting itself with Valgren, Nason and 20 seconds back. Pollitt and Van Mark coming home in that group that, frankly, could have done a little bit more work. Well, easy for us to say, you might say, after 200 kilometres in these conditions. Brian, you have every right to offer up criticism on a day such as this, with your deep experience as a director sportif. What will the conversations around the dinner tables be for those who found themselves in that Sagan group?